Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ozzy. If this is your very first time, you're welcome. This is a channel I created to share information on how to get your US green card through the merit-based pathway called EB2NIW, all right? And that means employment-based, second preference, national interest waiver category. And so we share information on this page on how to do just that. Okay, so if you're really interested in this kind of topics, if you really want to know what this is about, you may want to consider clicking on the subscribe button. That way you get to know when we upload new videos. So today I'm going to talk a lot about how to add your dependents on your application. So when we talk about dependents, we're talking about your spouse, we're talking about your kids who are under the age of 21. You can go ahead and add them on your petition so they can get their green cards just as you get yours. All right. So there are two ways. So if you're applying from within the US, let's say you already turned in your Form I-140, which is petition for alien worker, you already got that approved, and now you're looking to adjust your status using Form I-485. At that point, you can add your dependents, right? And so you can add your spouse, you can add your children under the age of 21. So how do you do that? Well, you have to fill out a Form I-485, which is the adjustment of status form for every applicant on the petition. So each person on the petition is going to need to fill out their own Form I-485. After that, there are certain forms that you can also include with the 485, which will be free based on the fact that you're adjusting your status. So that is application for employment authorization using Form I-765 and the application for advanced parole using Form I-131, right? The advanced parole is just used for persons who want to travel outside the US while the application is pending. And so if that's you, if you feel like, you know what, I'm going to want to travel outside the US while USCIS is adjusting my status, you know that once you're adjusting your status, you cannot leave the US. If you leave the US, it's deemed like you abandoned your application, right? So if you know that you're going to be, traveling, or, it doesn't hurt to just turn in those two applications, one for authorization, employment authorization, and the other one for adjustment of status. And everyone on your application, who is eligible for, who is old enough to work can also apply for employment authorization, and they can also apply for advanced parole using Form I-131, right? Those are two forms that you can really take advantage of. Next thing that everyone on your application is going to need is medical check using the Form I-693, right? This is a check for vaccination records and things like that. And you want everyone on that application to go ahead and do that as well. And so remember that everyone on your application who you're going to be adding as a dependent needs to fill out the Form I-485. They also need to do the medical check using the Form I-693. The optional forms are the work authorization form as well as advanced parole. And I always say, go ahead and turn that in as well, right? If you're going to be planning to travel outside the US. Okay, so what happens if you're applying from outside the US, like you're applying from another country, but your I-140 has been approved, you've gotten a receipt notice telling you, yay, your I-140 has been approved. So what's the sequence? So when your I-140 gets approved and you get that receipt notice, that I-797 notice telling you that your I-140 has been approved, what's going to happen is that USCIS is going to inform the National Visa Center in your country through the Department of State to let them know that, hey, we've approved an immigrant petition for this person. And so you guys can go ahead and complete the processing using consular processing, right? And so you're going to get a letter. Now, a lot of people worry about that because they say, how long is it going to take for me to get a letter from the National Visa Center or the NVC? Historically, some people say it takes 6 weeks, but I've seen cases where it's taken longer. So it's about 2 months, a couple months or 3 months, and you get that receipt notice, right? Or you get that notice from the National Visa Center. And that notice is going to tell you everything that they need from you. It's going to tell you, details about the medical check. And if you're going to add any dependents on your application, at that point, they all need to fill out the visa application form, DS-260, right? Everybody in your application needs to fill that out. Every dependent who's going to be traveling to the US with you will need to fill out that DS-260. And then they'll need to do a medical check and, of course, go to the interview with you at the consulate, U.S. consulate in your country, right? And so that's the process, really. Once you have an approved I-140, you can go ahead and add your dependents and you're good to go, all right? So I hope you guys have been able to learn about how to add your dependents once your I-140 has been approved. Has any of you tried this? What was your experience? Most importantly, how long did it take for you to hear from the National Visa Center about the status of your application, right? And that's the million-dollar question that I get asked a lot these days. You know, a lot of people get approved from overseas, and they're just like, they can't wait to get their they can't wait to get their letters from the National Visa Center. And for them, it takes so long, you know. And so I guess we can do a poll and find out how long it's taken for you guys to get yours. And if you've been able to successfully add your dependents, what are some of the things that they're requesting for? So for adjustment of status, you know, when you're at the point where you're adjusting your status, they're asking you for your birth certificate. They're asking you for the notice of approval for your I-140. They're asking you for your current I-94 records, you know, your current visa stamps. If you're a school, they're asking for your I-120. Of course, you're going to ask you to fill out, if you're going to include the 765, the 131, you know, for employment authorization and advanced parole, respectively. You know, they're going to ask you for those things. Now, if you're adding dependents on your application, they're going to want to know that you have a legitimate relationship with those people. So, for example, if you're adding your spouse on your petition, then your spouse is going to fill out their own I-485, and they have to present documents like their marriage certificate, if they're married to you. If they're your children, they have to provide their birth certificates. They have to provide their visa stamps, whatever visas they're on. If they are, you know, derivatives of your F1, that means they're F2 visa holders. They have to present those as well. And they have to present, if they're going to attach forms I-765, forms I-131, they're going to have to attach those forms as well and include passport photographs. So these are some of the things that will be required for your derivatives or your dependents, right? So let me know in the comment section if you guys have successfully added your dependents, and if you have any questions about this, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. All right. So until we meet again, have a very good one and see you on the next video. Bye-bye.